my name's Janice Arch. I'm the secretary for the Greater Cleveland chapter of Wild Ones. I am a Summit County native. Grew up actually outside of Cleveland, settled down here near Akron. I am a landscape architect by trade, and I do tons of different types of jobs at work. But my true passion, obviously, anything that involves native plants. So we do stream restoration. I really enjoy that. Anything with Parks and Rec. We work with a lot of the county and municipal parks departments. So I really enjoy those projects the most. I have a bachelor's in horticulture, which is where I kind of started my love for plants. I had a professor as my plant ID professor who really played a pivotal role for me in, kind of transforming my love of plants as a young college student. So that kind of drove my path forward. Just about, I found Wild Ones kind of during COVID. I was looking for something to do, and they were doing virtual presentations with local designers. So I had logged into a few of those just to kind of see people's faces and hear about, what people are doing locally in the Midwest states. And then I kindly, a little bit later, I guess it was was it last year, Jessica, that I joined? 2022 or 2023?
2023.
2023. I bugged Jessica, who's our chapter president, to be like, hey, can I help you guys? Can I volunteer? So I've kind of been helping ever since. And, this position brings me a lot of joy, and it fills a lot of boxes for me, and fills my cup, so to say, to, giving back, volunteering, and all that good stuff. It's a great organization. So I'm glad everyone's here tonight to join us. This is kind of an introduction to native plants and a little intro to what Wild Ones is and what we do here as a local chapter in Northeast Ohio as the Greater Cleveland chapter. So with that, I will, here we go. I'm going to start off with a little intro about us as Wild Ones in general. And then I'll kind of move on to what our native plant topic is, and talk a little bit about native plants. And then I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into what we do as a chapter here locally. So I know I saw on the list, there's a lot of people I don't recognize on the participant list. Is anyone, you can just kind of raise your hand if you're on camera, or just kind of give a shout. Is anyone on the call already a Wild Ones member? Do you know what we're about? Jim, I know you. Jessica, of course. So I'm glad we have some members, and it seems like a lot of non-members, which is great. This is what we want. We want you guys here and learning with us. So we appreciate you being here. So what is Wild Ones? Wild Ones is a national nonprofit that promotes the use of native plants through local and national education programs. There's over 100 chapters across the United States in 36 states, which is ever growing. We behind the scenes see when a new chapter comes up, and they've been popping up all over the place lately. So history of the group. In 1977, a group of 9 people attended a natural landscaping workshop up in Milwaukee in Wisconsin. And they were interested in this new concept of using native plants in the landscape. And their enthusiasm blossomed into what's now known as Wild Ones. And the national organization is actually still, their home base is in Wisconsin still, which is, if you haven't been up there, I recommend it. It's gorgeous. So our history here in Greater Cleveland, with the help of a few ladies, one of which is on the call, Jessica, who is our chapter president, Danielle and Stephanie, they stewarded to get our chapter off the ground. So they launched us as a seedling chapter, and we grew for about a year until we became fully chartered last September in 2023. So we're actually celebrating our 1-year anniversary this month of being a chartered chapter. So it's very exciting for us. So our mission here, we promote the use of native plants and native landscapes through education, advocacy, and collaborative action. What's our vision? We want to see native plants and natural landscapes thriving everywhere, not just in parks, not just, in the preservation down the street. We want to see them at your house. We want to see them at the McDonald's down the street. Wherever they are, we want to see them. We have a few beliefs, we have respect for each other, for the natural environment. We're an inclusive community. We believe in evidence-based information. If somebody comes to us with a fact, you better believe we're going to fact check it before pushing it out onto our members or the public. We want to make sure that the right information is getting out there. And we're action and growth oriented. We have grown so much just in the past year from becoming a chartered chapter until now. And it's amazing. And we're still moving up. All right. So now we get to talk about plants, which is very exciting. So what is a native plant? I think I stole this definition from the Summit Metro Parks down here. I thought it was a really simplistic way to state what a native plant is. A native plant is one that has traditionally existed in our region without introduction from another area. Native plants are critical to the wildlife that call Ohio home. They've evolved together to exist. So this would be an example. What's a plant that a lot of people have in their yard that is not native would be a barberry. They're like a plum colored leaf. They have thorns. Everybody uses them as hedgerows to get that pop of color in their yard. And they're considered invasive. And if you go on a hike in your local metro park, you will probably see it in the woods now because it's invading where it shouldn't be. They're originally from Asia. They're brought over for ornamental purposes, which, thinking back to when they were probably brought over, no one had any idea that a plant from across the ocean would have such an impact here. And it's just continually happening and has continually happened. Another example was last year, the state of Ohio banned the sales of the ornamental pear tree. In the springtime, if you're driving down the highway or through your city and there's any sort of woods or brush somewhere, there's likely a pear tree blooming. And originally there was only one cultivar that was sterile, and then they came out with 2 cultivars and then 3, thinking that, oh, they're all sterile, they won't reproduce. Well, guess what? Those cultivars then crossed with each other and then started producing or reproducing. So they became a problem. They're everywhere. They're snuffing out all of our native woodlands. And so we can't buy them anymore. They're a popular street tree. They're still around, but hopefully, when, you know, hopefully they start to get weeded out a little bit more now that we can't, buy them. So, Jim, do you have a question?
Just a comment.
Yeah.
Several years ago, I bought an iris. It was called the yellow flag, and if I didn't dig it up a couple years ago, it would take over my whole yard. I see them occasionally in metro parks in near the edge of the ponds, and they're pulling them out as soon as they can.
Yeah.
It should be
There's,
illegal. I mean,
there's a lot of things like that that we don't know,
uh,
that are just, they
I
love it
really
here.
feel it should not be sold. It just, one plant 10 years ago is like 15 by 15 kind of circle that I
For
had to
sure.
dig out, anyhow, just a warning about the yellow flag.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. So what else is a native plant? I would be hard pressed to find anyone who's never seen this diagram before, but this is a very, very popular graphic amongst the native plant realm. So on the far, 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 far left, we have our Kentucky bluegrass. It's our turf that probably makes up majority of the lawns here, mixed with, fescue. So the rule with the turf grasses like this is however high you cut your grass, if it's 2 inches, if it's 3 inches, that's what you get in the root system. That's all you get is 2 to 3 inches under the soil. So how does that compare to our native plants? Well, if you glance to the right here on this lovely diagram, you can see how a few of our popular native plants root systems compare in how they grow. They are diving deep, and that's one of the things that make them so great. So let's see, big blue stem, that's this guy right here. I'm just gonna try and highlight ones that we might know. Purple coneflower, not as fibrous, but definitely it's got that nice almost taproot going down. What's another good one? I always like this one, the buffalo grass, which is also a grass and also short. But look how far these roots go. It's almost 8 feet compared to our nice little Kentucky bluegrass over there. So this is all well and good, right? How does it help? Why is it good? Why should I plant these anyway? There's a few reasons. So the longer the roots, the deeper the roots, they're going to mitigate our stormwater runoff. They reduce erosion, improve water quality. If you think, you regrade a site and that you have a slope, a lot of times the go-to was to put, oh gosh, now I'm blanking on what it's called. The pink flowery stuff that ODOT puts everywhere. And it just creates a carpet. It's a monoculture. It's one thing, but it's good for soil erosion, right? Well, now we're learning years later that that's not the way to go. We should be planting native seed. Because of its deep root system, it holds the soil in place. And because of those deep roots also, as the water's coming down, the plants, break up that velocity and also soak in a lot of that water. What else is great about the native plants? They require less watering. They're resilient and adapted to regional and soil weather conditions. Another reason why these roots go so deep, they're hitting the water table. They hit all the wet soil, moist soil that's down there. You think even my yard in the dry heat of the summer, like some of my soil and my beds start to crack on top. And you can tell it's super dry. But as you dig down, it's still pretty moist. So those native plants can reach that water that's in the soil. And what else? So this is our segue to our next slide. They form the foundation for the food web. All right. So let's talk about keystone species. What are keystone species? So this is playing off of that, plants are the fundamental start of the food web. So native plants support a significant number of caterpillars, whether it's butterflies or moths, Lepidoptera family. And since, how do I want to say? If you're a keystone species is if there's a higher, oh gosh, now I'm losing my words. Think of it like you have a few species, they're going to be your top contenders for how many caterpillars are on there, different species of caterpillars. And I'm going to share a fact with you that's going to blow your mind also. But if you think of it, say in your yard, and you're like, I only have a little bit of space. What should I plant? It should be a keystone species because those ones support the most amount of wildlife. So if you think of, I'm just going to read these because I'm losing my words. Okay. Majority of the insect herbivores like caterpillars and specialized like to feed on these host plants. So you think of like a host plant as being, that's what the caterpillars feed on. So that's what the butterflies and the moths are going to come lay their eggs on. So few plants support the majority of caterpillar species. What are they? Those are the ones you want. You want the ones that support the caterpillars, right? So there we go. Okay. So let's think of it this way. So if you were to plant a tree in your yard and you want the most caterpillars in your yard, okay? You're like, I'm going big. I'm going to plant the thing that's going to attract the most caterpillars. Does anybody have a guess what tree we should be planting?
Oak trees.
Oak trees. That's right. Okay. So if we have an oak tree, we have a white oak or a black oak. How many species of caterpillars use them as a host plant?
Let's be week. We'll talk about that. 400.
400 is very close. 436. I didn't even know that there were 436 kinds of butterflies and moths that were native to our area, but they are. So, it's only, that's the highest you can go. So next would be the prunus species, which is American plum, a black cherry, or a choke cherry. And those ones host 340 types of caterpillars. And the list goes down from there. But you're thinking, I want to attract more native everything to my yard. That's how you're going to do it. So let's go a step further. So the biodiversity crisis. Reports point to a 60% decline of this populations of mammals, birds, fish, reptiles, amphibians since 1970, a 60% decline. More than 40% of insect species are declining, and a third of them are endangered. So we're talking about, the plants having this food web, having this symbiotic relationship with everything. We're getting rid of native plants and we're planting the non-native barberry because it looks nice. It's not supporting our local friends who are insects and birds. So the plants are consumed by the herbivores. Vast majority of them are insects. The insects, they eat the plants as well for protein. And then amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals eat the insects. So it's that cycle, right? With the 40% loss of insect species, there's also the 2.9 billion birds lost since 1970. It's a drastic decline in bird and insect populations. And it's creating great losses that we can try and curb and start turning back the hands of time. So how do these native plants, how else without just in sheer numbers, if the plants are decreasing in number, and we're planting them, we're doing what we should, what else is there? You think about when the birds are migrating, if they stop to eat, and they're eating berries or fruit from a non-native plant, those berries actually have less essential nutrients than what the bird needs. So they have to eat more to get more calories, do all the process to get the nutrients they need to be able to fly to their, winter location or vice versa to come back. So they're not getting what they need. Research from the University of Delaware found that birds consuming native plants had a 96% survival rate compared to only 66% of those relying on non-native species. So we're all related. So what else? Habitat loss. We've always had farming here, at least in the United States. That's nothing new. I think that there is a movement afoot to do a little bit more sustainable agriculture, which I'm all for. But agriculture is a monoculture. There's nothing there except for the one thing you're growing. And this urban and suburban development is also leading to the habitat loss. I think this picture at the bottom is sad, and it shows what some of the areas of the United States look like, and it's all turf grass. There's nothing there. I see a few shrubs, but they're probably not doing anything. They're probably not native. They're just there to screen your neighbor. But when these housing developments are being built, the native soils are being disturbed also. When the ground's excavated, they're putting back, impervious surfaces, your roof, your driveway, the street, everything, can create more stormwater runoff. And, it's a whole other issue, but these are all related. But your residential and the commercial lawns, I think, is what us as regular citizens, I think that's where we can change the most. Is kind of reducing that lawn. So with that, your turf transformation is the #1 irrigated crop in America. It's water intensive, time intensive, chemical intensive, sterile, toxic space. I like to call it a food desert. Just as we would say in the human realm, when you don't have a grocery store near you within a quick drive, a quick walk, a quick bus ride, we call it a food desert. We created food deserts for the birds, for the insects, with all of our turf grass. And, while up here, we know that in Northeast Ohio, we don't have extreme weather, but, we do have irrigation systems to, not everyone, but there are plenty of irrigation systems up here too, that people are using for their lawns. All right, so I have a nice quote here from Doug Tallamy, and I kind of alluded to this earlier. It's Doug Tallamy, if you don't know, is a professor in entomology and ecology. He's written a few books. He's kind of like the father of native plantings, restoration, kind of turning the clock back to what our plantings once were. And he has this quote that nature is something set aside and preserves in parks, something separate from our daily lives that we go visit. And he stresses that we can no longer leave conservation to the conservationists. So if we rely on everyone else to sort of restore and preserve and conserve these landscapes and native landscapes, it's going to take a lot longer to bring us back to where we are with those declining numbers of insects and birds, if we all do our part. And if we plant a native, if we reduce our lawn, if we plant that oak tree, we're helping that process. So where to start? Reduce your turf. You can plant a butterfly garden. You can plant a rain garden. There's a lot of resources out there that, unhooking one of your downspouts and releasing it into your yard and creating a rain garden, either in your front or backyard. I prefer the front so that way you can talk to your neighbors about it. Is a great way to start. Plant an oak tree. If you have the room, do it. Do it. And of course, join your local Wild Ones chapter. Okay. I was going to talk a little bit more about Greater Cleveland and what we do. Does anybody have any questions about the native plants? I don't see anything. Unless there's something in the chat, which I'm not looking. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what we do here in the lovely Northeast Ohio. So we like to focus on education. That's like our favorite thing. So each month we do a chapter meeting. It's the third Thursday of the month, virtual, online, just like this. So you can sit at your couch and listen in. We have a local expert always come in and give a nice educational topic. For this September meeting, we are talking about monarchs and misinformation, because 'tis the season for migration to start in September. We started when we chartered last year. One of our goals was to start these Keystone workshops. So there's that word again, Keystone. So we think it's like top tier. Like these are the things you need to know. If you want to learn about native plants, if you want to do hands-on things in your yard or in your community, these are going to be the top things that you want to do and know about. And that's what we want to teach you how to do. So, the word keystone comes from ancient Roman architecture. If you think of an arch, they would put a keystone in the middle, and that's what keeps the arch there. And without it, it crumbles apart. So that's why these keystone plants, our keystone workshops are the glue that holds the structure together. Knowledge is power. So an example of one of our keystone workshops, we do winter sowing. During the cold months, there's not much else to do. And of course, you want to still get your hands dirty because it feels good in the winter time. So we did a lot of winter sowing workshops. Hopefully we're expanding a little bit more. I know we did some in Lorain County, Medina County, Cuyahoga County. So be looking for those starting maybe end of December, beginning of January. Another keystone that we did, we're still developing, but is invasive removal. So we worked with a Friends of group up in Cleveland, Friends of a Park group, over the summer to help teach them about invasive removal. So we're hoping to roll that out also as kind of like a hands-on workshop, and get it a little bit tighter so we can educate everybody on how that is. Last spring, for the spring equinox, we did a program called our Drink and Design, and we had it at a local brewery up in Cleveland, and we invited a lot of people. We invited everyone. We had a lot of people show up. Bring images of their house, what their yard, an aerial, any resource they could bring about their yard. And we had about 5 professional designers there to give advice on what kind of native plant, where, just design advice to help people bring more native plants into their yard. I think it was a good success, and we want to implement that again, hopefully soon. We also did some spring ephemeral hikes. We hiked with a naturalist at a few of our local metro parks. And I did a lot of good spring ephemeral plant ID. So if you don't know, the spring ephemerals are the spring wildflowers. So ephemeral being once they come up, they bloom, they die back. So they're not around all year. So we get to just enjoy them before the leaves come out on the canopy above. So, and you can see that the weather was wildly different. One weekend to another, we had hats and heavy coats on. And then I think this one, we were sweating in shorts and t-shirts. So spring is a wild time in Northeast Ohio. Over this summer, we did a bunch of garden tours with some of our members. We had some out in Lorraine. We had some on the east side of Cleveland. We had some down in Akron. Those were really fun. And we hope that we're definitely going to bring those back again next summer. And we're excited to see, it's always nice to see what someone else is doing. And the way that we prefaced our tours was that it doesn't have to be an established perfect garden. It could be you're just starting out and you're proud of what you did so far, or you wouldn't mind hearing a few, what would look really good here, opinions from a few other, like-minded folks and native plant nerds that, hear what they have to say about your yard and take some advice. So those have been really great. And just being a part of our community, we have a few members who are so good at networking with our local organizations. And, we get invited to a lot of different events because of those connections. So, also launched this past year was our native habitat quarter. So you might see even on this slide, there's a certified wildlife habitat. There's a lot of other programs out there like this right now. Even Wild Ones National has one. A few of the parks districts around have programs like this. And this is ours. We are not out to compete with anyone. We want all the people. If you're already a part of another program, please do ours on top of it, or vice versa. If you want to do both, we want everybody to do everything. So what is this? What is the native habitat quarter? So go back and think about the food desert, right? The turf grass, the sea of turf grass, okay? Like this image below, there's no connectivity, right? Bumblebee comes in, he can't find anything, he's leaving your neighborhood. But if you give him some plants to come pollinate and hang out on, and you tell your neighbors about it, and your neighbors do some plants, then we start to have that connectivity. So we're just looking for a corridor something that the pollinators can come in and they don't have that food desert, as they're moving across our communities. We want our communities to be connected, in more ways than one. So we have this lovely interactive map, on our website, that, I'm a visual person and I love this map because I like to see where everybody is. And it's so cool. You can click on people, you can, when you join, you can add some photos of your garden. And it's so much fun just to go through to see, oh, who might be in my neighborhood and check out their photos. And it's just it's a really cool way to feel connected. It is free to join our corridor. There's no fee, there's no requirement. Your requirement is that you have a native plant. Because we don't want to discriminate. If you have one plant and you're proud of your one plant, we want you on our native corridor. Because we think that's great that you're doing what you can to help. So another thing, our main fundraiser right now is we're selling signs for the corridor that you can put in your yard to kind of facilitate that conversation with your neighbor. So that way, when so-and-so's walking their dog down the street and they see your sign and you're outside, you guys can start talking about native plants and wild ones and the native habitat corridor. And, it really enhances that experience of why you're doing what you're doing, and why Wild Ones is doing what we're doing to educate. The other thing is we have plant kits available at participating nurseries, which nursery season is winding down for the native nurseries. So my assumption is, as of right now, September 4th, it might be limited time to finish getting some plants. So you might have to wait until springtime, but they do have a kit of 5 plants that you could get, either sunny or shady, depending on what your yard is like, to start you off. If you have no idea, but I have full sun in my yard, you can go get a kit from one of the participating nurseries, and also get a sign too if you are interested. We also sell our signs when we're doing tabling events too, usually. And we're working on hopefully launching, being able to sell them on our website very soon. All right. So all that being said, and all the fun things we like to do in the community, how can you get involved? First is you can become a member. So there's different tiers of what you can afford. It's nothing outrageous. You can volunteer. Like I said, we love the people who are connected in our communities and who connect us to other experts, other organizations that are like-minded in their mission as Wild Ones. We love people who like to get their hands dirty and help us out with plantings. We love people who organize events and like to organize events. We do a lot of tabling, like I mentioned. So in the spring, we were doing a lot of Earth Fair events, native plant festivals, all sorts of good stuff. This photo was from the Summit Metro Parks Native Plant Festival. That one was quite impressive. This is their mascot, the little maple leaf, for the Metro Parks. We love people who can offer tech support and administrative help behind the scenes. And we love people who can write not just articles and blog posts, but educational information. We are always accepting of, hey, here's a fun fact, or hey, here's something really cool that I found. We'll always take it. So here's a few pictures from volunteering. These were, I think, a few of our Earth Day events on the sides here. And then the middle, we did a seed packing event. So we usually, when we table, we like to give out little packets of free seeds. So we had a bunch of members get together and we stuffed some seeds in some packets the one day to get ready for all of our springtime events that we were doing. I believe 2 of these were at the Cleveland Metro Parks native plant sale that they had in the spring, and the other one was from Summit County. All right, so here's some more fun stuff. Our upcoming events for right now. So we're at this day right here, September 4th. All right, so we are, let's see. Oh, Medina County Parks District is having their native plant sale this weekend on the 7th. Which day is that? That's Saturday. I recommend you go. We have all of this information on our website for where we'll be and also what events we're hosting.
Janice, it's Native Plant Festival.
Native Plant Festival, sorry. Did I say sale?
Yes.
My bad.
A little bit different, sorry. But there's gonna
Yes.
be, don't worry.
No, you're right.
Native plants for sale there too.
It's a whole festival, so everyone should go. Super exciting. The Cleveland Metro Parks is having this nature forum in Cuyahoga County. It's at their Watershed Stewardship Center. I really struggle with the name of that, in Parma. And guess who's gonna be there? Doug Talmay is gonna be there. So it is a free event. So I'm not sure if all of you are aware how awesome it is that Doug's going to be presenting at a free event. So definitely put that on your calendars if you can stop by. There's going to be other keynote speakers throughout the day. The lovely Julie Slater from, she's actually on our, she's in one of our leadership positions here and volunteers with the chapter. And she also owns one of the native plant nurseries up in Euclid. So September 18th, we are doing a native tree seed collection with Summit Metro Parks. I'm very excited about that. I feel usually, which you'll see a little bit further down, we're doing a seed collection, but it's always, you know, it's always the perennials or the forbs, and this one is tree seeds. So I'm really excited. And then it's our chapter meeting. Like I said, it's on monarchs and misinformation, because the monarch migration is going to be starting here soon. So just want to get some extra information out there. The National Wild Ones is having a webinar, The Beauty and Benefits of Hedgerows. That'll be virtual. And then we're doing 2 days with the Medina County Parks District of Native Seed Collection, and that'll be perennials and forbs. And for both of these events, for the parks districts, we're collecting for the parks districts, for their natural resources departments, for them to either keep a seed bank or to grow their own plants. So something different for September 28th, the Wagger Park Native Garden Planting in Cuyahoga County. One of our members has an adopt-a-spot up in Lakewood that she is converting to all natives, which is very exciting. So we're helping out and providing some plants and some bodies to volunteer to go help plant. So that one's September 28th. So if you're local to Lakewood, I would definitely check that event out. That wraps up September. October, we have a few things scheduled so far. October 6th is the second day at Medina Parks Seed Collection. October 5th, we're co-hosting an event. It's the Northeast Ohio Native Plant Swap and Resource Fair. And that's going to be in Summit County at the ODNR Fish and Wildlife District Office, which is super cool. If you've never been there before, it's right on Portage Lakes. And they have their own, it's almost like a little island out into the lake that is all theirs. And so it's really pretty to just walk around. You don't need to bring a plant to swap to attend. You can just come. We'll have all the organizations are going to have seeds to give out, but I think we're trying to also just have plants to give out as well. But it's essentially all things native plant related. Us, Summit County Metro Parks, Summit Soil and Water Conservation District, ODNR, Wild Fish and Wildlife, and Muskingum Watershed Conservancy are the co-hosts for that. So a lot of good experts and people in the field there. So that'll be the beginning of October. Moral of the story, if you plant it, they will come. Like this cute little guy. And this cute little guy, but we probably have those regardless if you have native plants. So we're on all your social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. Oh, one thing I did forget to mention, we do record all of our chapter meetings each month and put them on our YouTube channel. And we separate out the educational topic as well. So if you want to watch the whole meeting, you can. If you want to just watch the educational topic, you can. So all those are listed on our YouTube channel. And we also have LinkedIn. So if you ever have any questions, email us, wildonesgreatercleveland@gmail.com. We're all volunteer, run by volunteers. So be kind with, it might take us a little bit extra time to reply, but we will reply. Oh, I had one more slide. So that's what I have. Does anybody have any questions? I'm gonna go to the chat too. I've been avoiding it. If anybody has any questions, let me know. I do have a few links to share if anybody wants anything. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so that way we can all look at each other's faces. Okay. There we go. Does anybody have anything they want to share or ask? I'm gonna start picking on people. Okay, wait,
Well,
hold
there's
on.
a few people raising their hands, Janice.
Who? MJM.
MJ, yeah.
Okay.
If I have a Bradford pear, do you think I should take it down? I feel guilty that I have one.
Here's the thing.
I think that's up to you. If you have the means and methods and,
Over there,
you know, availability of a body and cost, you know, if that's available to you, I would say yes.
you
Well,
gotta
I live out in the country, so there's not a lot, you know, of
hammer well.
other houses close by, so I didn't know if there would be a lot of chances of that reproducing in the area or not.
Lane Thomas and Center, right?
I think that
Putting it first.
I
a good
apologize. Give me
question.
one moment. I apologize. We're hearing some background sound. I believe it's a TV. If everyone can mute themselves unless they're speaking, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Alexis.
I think, you know, if, I don't know, are you kind of like in an agriculture area or?
Yes, I am farming. Yeah, Lorraine County.
I feel like my answer is the same. I think if you have the resources and the financial ability to do it, I would. Unless, you know, the branches are also prone to fall as well.
I've
So
heard
if it's
that,
close to
yeah.
your house, it might be beneficial just to get rid of it for the safety factor. As well as the fact that it could spread to other places.
Okay, thank you.
Jim, did you have a question?
Just a couple comments.
Yeah.
I think one thing that was rather intriguing when I began to do more natives, maybe 6-7 years ago, is that it's so fun to watch. I mean, start seeing bees and butterflies. And I mean, my wife wasn't that interested, but once she started seeing the bees, we were just joking about, oh my God, we love bugs. We like, I mean, most of us homeowners, we think, oh, kill the bugs, don't let them eat your plants. And then you realize after a couple of years that they're just part of the cycle, and most plants survive all that eating. And these are very low maintenance. People don't have to be really great gardeners. Pretty much the less you do, the better. If you find that right spot with shade or sunlight, and the plant after the first year to kind of lives on its own. So people who don't have a green thumb should love this.
Yes, that's exactly right, Jim. And I think, I feel like we have a lot of birders too as members, and not just the bugs. It brings the birds too, and things that you don't normally, you see the typical, oh, it's a cardinal, a sparrow, a chickadee. Like, once you start putting the natives in your yard, if you plant it, they will come. So if you're
Yes,
if
I do
you're a
see
birder,
I see a lot more finches eating the
Yeah.
seeds, particularly
Yeah.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good time right now. I have a few links to put in the chat. So the first one I'm going to share it's that Keystone plant list. So it's like your top tier things that you should be planting. It's for our ecoregion, which is the Eastern Temperate Forests. And just my advice is, even if you look at this list, always make sure that you're looking at what your conditions are at your house. For example, like the top thing in this list is the white oak. If you have super dry soil, you don't want a white oak in your yard. Like, it's not going to do well. So you do a little bit extra research on what these species like, that will fit well in your yard. There's plenty of other types of things that you can do there's a lot of things in like the 200 level for the caterpillar numbers. So don't be discouraged if for some reason one of the species won't work in your yard. So I stuck that in there. And then the other graphic that I had came from this guy. So there's two graphics there. One is the keystone plants, and then the other one is soft landings. If you don't know what soft landings are, you can go to our YouTube channel and watch one of our meetings last year. We had someone from Meadow City Nursery speak on what soft landings are. Essentially, it's just making sure that underneath your tree canopy, you have a place for the bugs to land, as they're coming out of the tree. If they land in plain mulch, if they land in your turf grass, that's not benefiting your caterpillars. So making sure that you have a food source, a soft place for them to land when they emerge, is kind of the idea there. I'm not doing it the subject justice, I'm sure, but there's those really great graphics on that website. And then speaking of which, here's the link to our YouTube channel. So you can get all those wonderful things that I mentioned. So I think those were all the things I wanted to share. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate your time. Oh, yes, Gregory, do you have a question?
You're absolutely wonderful. I want to say that first.
Thank you.
Do any of you recognize me? The Canalway Center in Cuyahoga Heights, maybe in the spring, had a native plant sale.
Yes.
And two of you were there doing your pollinator quiz, which I failed miserably on. And I did buy one of those circular signs, and it's hanging up in my backyard.
Wonderful.
I just thought that was so cool the way you did that, by the way.
That's so great.
So thank you.
Thank you.
The other thing, I'm relatively old, and I just signed up, even though I should have done it a long time ago. And when you listed the new people, my name was there. And it was like, my 5 minutes of fame. I'm not, people don't put your name up there when you sign up for an organization. I want to thank you for that. Okay.
Oh, you're welcome. It's
And the
good,
other,
it brings it's that community feel, right? You joined us. We are thankful to have you here. So of course we're gonna give you a shout out.
yeah. And the Meadow City Nurseries. I was there at the open house kind of stuff a couple years ago. We are so lucky that we have people that are willing to do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes,
A-
yes.
And the first event I went to was your landscaping for the house, that you were talking about at that brewery.
Yeah, yeah.
Felt so bad because I wasn't a member and I showed up because he happened to hear about it. And, I didn't have a printout or anything. It didn't matter though, because I knew friends there and, I sat with them. But that was so clever. And there were people, forgive me for talking, there were people there
That's
from the
okay.
native, from the Meadow City Nursery.
Yes, Julie was there. Yeah.
Yeah. And Kate from iPath Park or whatever it is.
In Pitt Park, yeah.
Yeah.
She was
And
there.
do you know what? All these people that are like these initiatives, well, obviously your group too. Um, I don't know what I'm saying, but thank you one and all for doing what you do. Okay.
Oh, thanks, Gregory.
Yes, thank you.
And keep it up.
Thanks. We're glad you're here.
Oh, one
Appreciate
other
it.
quick thing.
Yeah.
Doug Tallamy, wow, he is you know him. Nobody is like him. And one of the things he might have written a book about it. I'm not sure, but he was talking
Probably.
about birds and trees. And people think if they put out finch seed that you're going to get finches. Well, that's not the case because the caterpillars they eat only are host plants to certain trees. And if you don't have a tupelo tree that has some kind of, caterpillar that the finch likes, he's
Yep.
not going to build a nest in your yard.
Yep.
There are so many interconnections that people don't understand. And
Yeah, I feel like I barely scratched the surface with this presentation. So there's a lot more that you could go into. Yeah,
anyway, thank you very much for this.
you're welcome. Thanks. Christoph, you have your hand raised.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I'm a member of the Oak Openings region.
Awesome.
Just stopping in because my parents live in Avon Lake, and I'm trying to kind of get more connected too with the Cleveland side of things. And they're working on just starting a rain garden and incorporating a pretty big like pollinator garden too. So I kind of wanted to kind of get some maybe like perspective and assistance and like maybe especially some help for them too because like it's something that I'm really passionate about and like getting them to kind of finally accept my passions of getting like the rain garden and pollinators on their lawn has taken a while but
Yeah.
it's nice that I finally have like that they're excited about it too, and they're trying to they have like I don't know, we definitely have a lot of like catching up to do. So I was just
Yeah.
trying to see like what kind of like kind of assistance like they could get and we could get like kind of creating this big like rain garden and pollinator patch in Avon.
So I'll mention a few things to you. One, it's funny that, you go through your young adult life and young life of like your parents telling you what to do, right? And then you get to this point where you're like, like you should really be doing this. And then it's always like, it's like a victory that when they finally listen and they're doing something, that you told them about. So congratulations on that. Are your parents members?
They are not, but
Okay.
yeah, I am back in Toledo.
Okay. So my advice would be to send us an email. We could send you some resources and maybe, somebody to get in contact with. That I would definitely, send us an email. I don't know if it's I think it was put on there, yeah. Earlier, and, you know, I think we'll remember who you are and just kind of spell it out, and we can work with you a little bit to find some resources and stuff, for sure.
Okay, awesome.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited too, and seems like they're excited too to see the vision and everything coming together.
Yeah,
But
that's great.
just have to get digging.
Yes. Yes.
But thank
Well,
you.
thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Does anybody else have anything? It is 8:02, so I want to be respectful of everybody's time, so. I don't see anything.
Yeah, one quick thing. If somebody, if one has something they want to email you, do we email it to you, a person, or do we email it to your general wild one? How do we do that?
So if you email our general wild ones, Greater Cleveland at Gmail, there's a few of us in leadership that will see it. If you have a specific question for someone, you could always address it to them and say, Janice, I enjoyed your presentation. Here's a question for you. And then I'll see it. If you just have a general question too, like we'll see that and we'll figure out who's the best person to answer it and sort it out that way. Does that help?
Yes. The garden walk or whatever you call it that you did last year.
The garden tours?
Yeah. When is that? In the fall each year, in the spring?
So we did them in the summer. When was that, Jessica? Was it July?
July and August.
July and August.
Okay. Do you send out a request for people that might want to have their garden on the tour? Something to that effect?
We did. And we'll probably do that again. It was a form that you could fill out to be a host garden. And so yeah, we'll definitely there's a chance to be a host for sure.
For next year, yeah. We will
Next year,
be
yeah.
doing that annually.
Well, thank you. We need so many more of those. The Master Gardeners of Cleveland, they do that prior to their convention each October. They pick 2 neighborhoods like Shaker Heights and Lakewood, whatever. And you know what? It's such a great opportunity to see what other people are doing. And you know this, that's why you're doing this, I know. But I just want to thank you for doing that also. So thank you.
No problem.
Thank
We
you.
like it too. It's fun to see what other people are doing.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of which, Gregory, did you go end up seeing the Pet Park, a wetland garden that we installed in Pet Park earlier this summer?
Going, and the reason why is I retired 2 years ago, and at our senior center in Old Brooklyn, we have all these great artists, and we take different courses. And Bernadette Glorioso is one of these artists that does murals in the metro parks, everything else. And she did. She's doing a mural right now at Pet Park, and she's offering this 5-week class over at the senior center, and it's so funny because she didn't know that I knew Kate over there, that kind of stuff. But no, I have to stop over there because I want to see what she's doing with her mural and the
Sure.
water thing we put in, and that place is taken off. You know what? Wow, good job.
Yeah, they're doing a great job over there. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining. Hope you have a great rest of your week and great weekend. And I see someone commented, hopefully we'll see you in Medina County this weekend at their Native Plant Festival. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.